operations. Looking at this particular bill, I know that many of my colleagues have said that there is a problem with amending the electoral law after every election. There is nothing wrong with doing that at all. Actually, international practice is that after every election, the electoral management body is supposed to undertake a review, relook at its operations, look at what the challenges that were raised in various election petitions, look at what the courts pronounced itself on that, and based on that, they then relook at the law and make sure that it's in alignment with those challenges. It also looks at some of the laws that didn't make sense and caused challenges during the election management process, and then make changes. So in fact, it's a positive thing. In fact, if you look at the history of election management in Kenya, when we made the turnaround after the 2007 post-election violence, which followed the elections, then what happened is that our election system had certain challenges. It caused violence after that. During that time, Kenya had what we call the Kriegler Commission, which went around the country, interviewed people, reviewed the entire register. Sorry. I haven't even finished my time. I think it was just a fault.
Madam, shall I continue? Proceed.
Okay.
You have not exhausted.
We then had the Kriegler Commission, which is probably the most in-depth review of our elections, both our election operations, our voter registration, our voter management registration system, and our register. And based on that, the new format of election management in Kenya was born. So it was not by default. It was based on the Kriegler Commission. I was privileged and honored to be part of the team that initially came and implemented the Kriegler Commission report. And we did implement it. That's where the whole issue of having biometric registration began. Reason being, the Kriegler Commission found that our register used to have dead voters. But there's nothing wrong with having dead voters on the register. The problem that in Kenya was that the dead voters would in fact vote. So the biometric process of registration and identification of voters was intended to ensure that only those who walk physically to the polling station would vote. So it is not by mistake that we review our election management system. Then, going forward, in the year 2010, during the first management of the elections during the referendum, it was realized that the electronic vote transmission system got overloaded. It is after that that we reviewed the problem and ensured that at the next time we had a better system. So the system has to keep improving. That's why we have the original Mercedes-Benz and we have the current latest Mercedes-Benz. Systems must continue to be evaluated. So let us disabuse ourselves of this notion that there is something wrong with us because we review our election management, our election laws. In 2013, the courts pronounced itself about where is the final announcement of the result. It was then that was said the final result is that as announced at the polling station. It was because of experience, and that's why we changed our laws to say the polling station is the final result. Also, if you look at other systems that we later introduced, like saying that a polling station can only have 700, maximum of 700 voters. Reason being, sometimes a way of corrupting the election system used to be that you put 10,000 people in a polling station. Of course, they won't all vote, which means you actually disenfranchise people. Because of that, again, I was part of the team that learned that lesson. and then determined that the number of people who can vote in a polling station is a maximum of 700. And it's actually a science. It takes 5 minutes for each person to vote. And so, therefore, in a day, you have 720 minutes. Therefore, you can only have 144 people voting in between 6 o'clock and 5 o'clock. But if you put 6 polling booths, 6 clerks, and 6 processing clerks, then what happens is you have 6 people voting at the same time, and therefore you come to the figure of 700. So it is a science. We only learned that and improved our law from experience. And therefore, I encourage that we constantly keep looking at our laws. I will now just look at 3 other items, now that I've said the historical background of this. I would only look at 3 aspects. One, I do not agree with the proposal that a CEO will serve for a term of 3 years. It is too short. One only becomes an election expert by the number of times they conduct elections. It's like telling me that somebody becomes an expert surgeon by operating only for 3 years. So if we want to build a cadre of electoral experts, they have to serve longer. Yes, I agree that the commission must have a limited time, but for the technical staff, at least for a CEO, they should serve 3 election cycles to make sense. In fact, I belong to the electoral network. It's called Bridge, where you constantly go and observe elections, you go for trainings, you exchange notes, people teach others what happened in their own countries and so on. So if you have a CEO for 3 years, my God, I don't know how he's going to run the elections. So this is a very, very bad amendment. And because the danger is more in the commissioners staying long, but the CEOs are technical staff. Today, if you go to the Electoral Commission, the constituency elections coordinators have probably done 3 election cycles, because the first group was hired when I was there in 2010. So you find that they get better with time. All we do is just keep changing them so they're not serving in the same station. If you look at the directors that are there, they have become better and better and with time. And so even now, you must ask yourself, if we hire commissioners today, those commissioners will not be expert enough to run the elections in 2027. The people who actually manage the elections are the technical staff. They are the ones who understand voter education, voter registration, management of the register, the IT